Is it possible to fake vintage French country decor? Well, in this video, I'm going to attempt to do just that. As a lover of the French country house aesthetic, I'm always mesmerized by videos and pictures of French flea markets and brocantes. I'm captivated by the array of old world vintage decor items available at these places. So I decided to use my DIY skills to fake decor items that might be found at French flea markets and brocantes using items that I thrifted during the last few months. So let's get started with the first project. Before I start my first project, I want to share with you this bag of fabric remnants that I bought from a yard sale for $2 because I'm going to be using two of the remnants for projects in this video. I'll be using this cream colored cloth and this red velvet remnant. So I'm going to be attempting to make a very French looking piece of wall art. And here I am gabbing away, not realizing that my microphone is off. So I'm just showing you the supplies that I'm going to use. I have some Mod Podge. I have that smaller oval frame that I thrifted. I also have some spray adhesive. And I have a selection of ribbons that I thrifted from the same yard sale where I bought the fabric remnants. And then I have this larger frame that I've had for many years. It's just a frame. It didn't come with a matting or a glass. And I have this foam board, I think you call that a foam board, that is already cut the size to fit inside that frame because I was using it for a jewelry organizer that I had DIY'd a few years ago. The first thing I'm doing is I'm brushing Mod Podge on top of my picture. This is something that I thrifted. It was in a frame that I didn't like, so I removed the print and I kept it for a future DIY project. Since I'm not going to be using a glass, I thought it best to brush Mod Podge over the print to protect it and also to make it look more like a real oil painting. Now I'm ready to adhere the velvet fabric to the foam board, and I'm using this general purpose spray adhesive, and the directions are very easy. You just have to shake the can really well and hold it 6 to 8 inches away from the surface you're spraying. And then while the adhesive is still tacky, you apply the fabric to the sticky surface. The oval frame I was using had those little eye hooks on either side, and I had to remove those because I wanted that frame to sit flush with the velvet fabric. I thought that the small oval frame just sitting in the middle of the bigger frame looked fine, but I wanted to add a little bit more embellishment, so I decided to try some of the ribbons that I had purchased. This black and white one I think looks very French, but I thought the contrast between the frame and the velvet just was too much. So I ended up settling on the other ribbon, which is this lace looking cream colored ribbon, and I thought that was a much better match to the overall look that I was going for. After looking through countless French country design books, I saw that the French like to incorporate religious objects such as statues of angels or images of saints to create a calming, meditative atmosphere. So I was excited to create my own version with some interesting items that I thrifted. These are the supplies that I'm going to use for this project. I have this display box that my husband thrifted for me. It's this really beautiful green. It has some faux jewels on the front. It was $2.99, and I've been wondering what to do with it, but I'm glad I held on to it because I think it's going to be perfect for this French inspired DIY. I found this statue of Mary and Jesus at a yard sale for $1. It is meant to be hung on the wall. I believe it's plaster or chalkware, but I thought the colors were soft and beautiful, and the facial expressions were so lovely. I found this metal hanging at Goodwill for $1.99. I also have two colors of the rub and buff gold. One is the gold leaf and one is the Grecian gold, and my hot glue gun. The wall plaque had quite a lot of tarnish, and I didn't want to completely cover that up. It also had this pewtery silver color, and I felt that gold would look much better since the box had a lot of gold. So I just took some rub and buff in my finger and I went over some of the areas of the wall plaque just to give it that aged gold look. I was a little concerned that the hot glue was not going to be strong enough to hold these to the box because they were both quite heavy, but I couldn't find anything else. I didn't have any other glue or any other adhesive, so I just kind of crossed my fingers and I applied quite a lot of hot glue to the back of each, and I proceeded to glue them to the box. For the metal wall plaque, I first glued a piece of cardboard to the back of it, and then I added the hot glue on top of that. I love the look of vintage grain sack in French country interiors, especially as pillows, but some of these can be as expensive as $60 or more. I thought I could definitely make one for much cheaper. For this project, I'm using a 20 by 20 feather pillow insert that I thrifted. This one was originally from IKEA. I'm also using one of the fabric remnants that came in that bag I thrifted. This actually appears to be a piece of drop cloth, the kind that you buy from Lowe's or Home Depot. I also have some painter's tape to make my stripes, and I have two colors of acrylic paint. I have a red and a gray, but you can use any colors that you like. And lastly, I have some of these little stenciling foam applicators, and I also have some stencils that I purchased from Amazon about 5 years ago. My original plan was to make this an envelope style pillow cover because I don't have any zippers right now. But when I went to measure the fabric by putting it against the pillow insert, I saw that I barely had enough fabric to go all the way around. So an envelope style pillow cover was not going to work. So I decided just to work with the fabric that I had, and then I would just do a very easy slip stitch on the bottom hem to close the pillow cover. Since the edges of the fabric were fraying so badly, I thought the first step would be to take this to my sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch all the way around. I decided to make a wider stripe going down the middle of the pillow cover and then having a narrower stripe on either side. But you can have as many stripes as you like and make them whatever width you think looks best. I forgot to show this step, but it's very important before you start stenciling to put a piece of cardboard inside your pillow cover. And this will prevent any possible bleed through if you accidentally apply too much paint, and it also gives you a smoother surface for you to stencil. I was careful to use very little paint on my applicator. You want to start very light and then build up the color if you want more color. Since I was going for a vintage, old grain sack look, I wanted my stripes to look somewhat faded and not very bright. So I stenciled the middle stripe first, then I let that dry completely. It only took about 10 minutes because there's very little paint on the fabric. And once that middle stripe was dried, then I went ahead and I taped off the narrow stripes that were going to go on either side. For the narrower stripes, I decided to use this brush instead because I felt like I would have more control with the brush. And I actually prefer that to using those little sponge tip applicators. So any brush with short, stiff bristles will work for stenciling. My stripes are done and completely dry, so now I'm looking through my collection of stencils to pick some design to put on the pillow cover. The nice thing about these stencils is that you can mix and match them, so you can use elements from one and then overlay it with elements from another stencil. That way you can create a design that's unique and that you can customize to many projects that you're doing. For my pillow cover, I decided to use this Chateau Ville de Paris design with some modifications. Now the important thing is to really center your stencil in the middle of your project, and I secure it with tape to keep it from moving while I'm stenciling the design. For this design, I'm using a contrasting color, so I'm using a gray. I was hoping that the gray was actually going to be darker than it turned out to be. I thought I had a darker, more charcoal gray in my paint stash, but I couldn't find it. After I applied the first coat of the lighter gray, I did feel like it was too light, so I was planning on doing a second coat, and lo and behold, I found my charcoal gray, which tells me that I need to organize my painting supplies because they're all over the place. I decided not to use the entire design of the stencil. Like you can see that I didn't do that top floral design, and also the bottom design, the one that is next to the date, the 1759, I only used half. I felt by using all of those flourishes, it was going to make the pillow cover too busy. So that's why I made that decision. Then I decided to use the crown from this bee stencil to put above the word chateau. Again, you want to make sure that between stencils you let everything dry so that you're not putting a new stencil on top of paint that is still wet. The pillow cover actually turned out to be just the right size. The final dimensions ended up being about 19 by 19, which is perfect for a 20 by 20 pillow insert. So now all that is left to do is for me to sew the bottom of the pillow cover closed. I think it looks perfect on my Louis XV style chair. I appreciate you stopping by today. Let me know in the comments below which project was your favorite.